team. They have really good hitting. Not so much pitching, from what we have seen in yesterday's game, on how they lost a little early in counts. I want to see a little bit stronger bullpen today in today's both games for the Mets and for Cincinnati. Who do I think is going to come up on top? Again, like I said, I would go with Sean Manaea just because on how Sean Manaea has been pitching in his last start. He had he went 6.5 strong innings, over 8 strikeouts. Do I think in my projection he could have 8 strikeouts in today's game? I do. So if I'm going to go and pick a guy, I would definitely go with Sean Manaea at 8.5 strikeouts for today. Now, if I'm going to go for winning pitching, if you are going to bet on that, I would go with Sean Manaea just because of the way he's been playing recently. Of course, he has a really nice repertoire on the mound with the cutter, with the fastball. I like to see him, change it up just a little bit on his rotation style. But again, he has really good play. He has really good appearance there. Again, and I really do feel that he can really turn it up in today's game. Even though Cincinnati does have a good hitting team, I do think that the Mets have a little bit better pitching. If you guys have noticed, in the last 7 games, the New York Mets have a ERA of 1.88. They are third in the league of the best in regards to the bullpen and also in regards to pitching. Luis Severino had a really good outing in yesterday's game. Got a little tied up real early, but ended up finessing very well yesterday, even though the Mets did come off on the loss. But again, the Mets' problem is hitting, not so much the pitching, and we're starting to see that now. We're starting to see the pitching really starting to come into its own. Having Edwin Diaz back, I think that kind of helps a little bit too. But also, you're starting to see the bad in with the good. I think that the Mets do have a good pitching. They need to start wiggling out their bullpen just a little bit to make it a little bit more tighter. But as of what we know, Adam Ottavino will not play in today's game in any sort of way. So from what we are told with Met officials, that Adam Ottavino will more than likely not be able to be pitching in today's matchup. So if I'm going to go with pitching, go with Sean Manaea. He would be the guy for today's game to really execute some really good at-bats. So I would definitely go with Manaea at 8.5. Andrew Abbott, if you are going to bet against the New York Mets or if you're going to just go for pitching in general, I would definitely go with Abbott at 8+ because of what we have seen against the New York Mets. Mets don't hit as well. But if I was going to go with anybody, Andrew Abbott could go over 7.5 strikeouts. In regards to who's going to be the winning pitcher, I would go with Sean Manaea. All right, so now let's go with player-wise. What have we seen against the New York Mets? Jonathan India. It probably would be my number 1 guy. Why? Because he hits very well against the New York Mets. Now, in regards to stat-wise, what do we see the big picture with? Sean Manaea against Jonathan India in his career, he was 27 of 43. He has a couple of home runs and also a couple of RBIs. Do I think that he could probably be a real big weapon against the New York Mets in today's game? He very well could be. I mean, from what we've seen in the last 2 games against New York Mets, Jonathan India has 4 RBIs and a home run. I would like to see where they go with that. So if I'm going to go with Jonathan India, he would be my first, going 3 for 4. And then who would be my second guy would be Stuart Fairchild. Fairchild has been very successful against Sean Manaea in the past. What am I going to see? 2 for 3 out of him, maybe an RBI, maybe a home run in today's game. I think he's starting to really heat up his bat a little bit against left-handed pitching. and also against right-handed pitcher, but a little bit more on the left-handed side because he has a ERA of 3.29. He hits very good against the left side. He would probably be a guy that I would pick as my number 2 to give me 2 for 3, maybe a couple of RBIs, and maybe even a home run somewhere. Then I would go with Santiago Espinal. Santiago, again, he has been hitting very well from the left side in his last 16 appearances. He has a 3.21 ERA. Has a home run with 8 RBIs. What am I going to see in today's game? Probably another guy that will go 2 for 3. I will see an RBI, maybe no home runs. Just a couple of hits, dunks in there, just to get some RBIs in his repertoire. Now, where would I go with today's game? I think Pete Alonso is due for a big game. Yes, we know on how Pete Alonso is starting to heat his bat up a little bit better, having that 3.20 ERA. He needs to bump up his ERA. We need to see a little bit more dinks and dunks coming out of Pete. Yes, granted, Pete Alonso has a really good power bat. Against Andrew Abbott, he is 4-11. Couple strikeouts there, but he also has 3 home runs against him. So coming from the left side, I do think that he's probably going to throw a little bit more of the heater in today against Pete Alonso. But I would like to see a home run coming out of him. So I'm going to go for 3 for 3 for Pete Alonso. Now, let's go on the flip side. I would go with Starling Marte. Starling Marte, another guy that could very well, have a nice, good bounce back game. I want to see Pete Alonso. I want to see Starling Marte have a little bit better coming from the right. Yes, he hasn't been hitting well. He hasn't really been doing super great, but I do think that coming from the right side of the plate, he's missing a lot of the fastballs. The fastballs are coming very much behind him, landing at that 120 mark. What do I see coming out of Marte today? Laying off some pitches, getting walks. That's the most important. And Andrew Abbott likes to walk a lot of guys. So I want to see some walks, maybe some steals coming out of Marte, and he would be my number 2 in today's matchup. And then my number 1 guy today, I'm going to go with Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader has a very nice at-bat against Andrew Abbott. He is 16 of 24. He has 4 home runs against him in his career with 12 RBIs. I think Harrison Bader is going to be that guy to just help the Mets get a couple of insurance runs. Do I think that he can be the number 1 star in today's game? I want to see 3 for 4 coming out of him today. Give me a home run, give me 2 RBIs, and I could be fine with that. And he would be my number 3 guy for your New York Mets and betting wise. So if you are going to bet, go for a home run. Go for a home run for Harrison Bader and a couple of RBIs, maybe a steal in today's game. I would like to see some. I want to see a lot of pushing. Get out there, be aggressive, have aggressive at bats, have aggressive offense. The offensive hasn't been looking really good yesterday with Francisco Lindor. I think he's a little, flustered right now. He's probably, feeling the pressure and the weight on his shoulders. But I mean, overall, I think he'll definitely bounce back. I want to see Francisco Lindor get a couple of bats today, get his confidence back, bring him in a little bit more in the plate. What I noticed in watching Francisco Lindor up at the plate, he's too far distance, and what he's done in the past, I would love to show side-by-side videos, and I really can't. But coming from last year, coming from this year, he's stepping out of the zone a little bit more with that